the raw material. Yeah. So according to Berkeley, the raw material is spirits and ideas. According to Thales, it's water. So, so now, so let's read. Let's read from where you mentioned that we were at Comrade Pigeon. Let's read from there. It's fine. We can read from there because then it leads us to the second question. Yeah. So go ahead and read that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. In this first answer, philosophers in fact tackle the question of the origin of things. Thales traces this origin to water, Berkeley to spirits, and their ideas. In effect, however, they both seek to the origins of the varieties of objects of the world in something which itself forms part of the world. There thus arises a supervening need to discuss about the possible origins of the cosmic raw materials.
Okay, thank you for that. Now we are moving into the second question. The first question was, what is there? What is it? We've got two answers: spirit and their ideas, or matter, basically. The second question is, where did it come from? So even if you say God is the creator of the universe, the question is, well, where did God come from? If you say nature is the origin of the universe, the question is, well, where did nature itself come from? In other words, does it have a beginning, or does it not have a beginning at all? So that's the second question. So we're going to read we're going to read this paragraph, and then we'll move on to the next one if need be. But I am mindful that we shouldn't read too many paragraphs, because when we did last week, it caused problems because people couldn't follow everything. So yeah, so let's read this paragraph, and then we'll dissect it, and then we'll move on to the next paragraph. So Comrade Ida, I know you haven't read for us for a while, but can you see the screen? If so, can you read?
Yes, I can. And let me just read that paragraph.
Yeah, read this paragraph for us, where it says it is thus.
Okay. It is
and
thus.
As usual, read slowly for us so we can. Oh, by the way, before we continue, Comrade Michael, where is our brother? Our brother.
I'm glad you're asking.
Where is he? I thought Zoom was supposed to enable him join our meetings.
You mean Patrick? I just tried to ring him. I don't know. I'll call him after the meeting and see what's going on.
Yes, please.
But I'll tell him we're permanently using Zoom, so we should be able to.
Please, and also remember he contributed to the cost of the Zoom. That's how committed he is. So, yeah.
I have a feeling that maybe he thought that we were doing the 40-minute Zoom, so maybe he hasn't come back. But maybe if he knows it's the full time.
Yeah. All right. So Michael will contact him and then he will let us know. All right. Okay. Thank you, Sister Ida. Continue, please.
It is thus that the requirement to explain the cosmic raw material comes to raise the second question of philosophy. There are two aspects to its answer. It is, in its first aspect, the explanation offers an account of the origin of the cosmic raw material. If, as according to Thales, water was all that God needed, when on the event of creation, he girded his loins, then first of all, the answer to the second question offers an account of the origin of the cosmic raw material, in the present case, water.
Okay, so let's pause there. So that's in its first aspect. The second aspect is not a long paragraph, so read that as well, and then we'll combine the two and discuss.
Okay. In its second aspect, It is an account of the extent of the cosmic raw material. It lets us know whether God, addressing himself to the task of the day of creation, can find that there is an economic shortage. That is to say, a shortage of raw material. It lets us know whether an error of costing can come to frustrate God's plan for universal building. Or
Okay.
universe building, sorry.
Yeah. So let's discuss those two paragraphs, and then we'll move on. So I'm going to move one at a time. Everybody will give their view and what they think about what we've just read. So there are only 7 of us. So I'll go to Comrade Ras first. Please feel free to pass on if you feel you have nothing to say. Feel free to pass on. So Comrade Ras, what do you think about what we've just read?
Give thanks, my elder. Blessed, my elder.
Yes. What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm happy to.
Yeah, my elder.
I'm
I
happy
don't have
to.
much to say so far.
Yeah.
Sorry, elder.
I'm happy to. Just so you know, I'm happy to move the screen up a bit if that helps. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, I've made it a bit smaller. I don't know if it's too bad, but yeah. I'm trying to show both paragraphs on the screen. Yeah. Doesn't always help, but I'm trying. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Just slightly. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes, comrade. Brother, yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
elder.
carry on, please.
Okay. Yes, my elder. I was saying, my elder, can you just move on, because I'm still trying to digest this one.
I understand. Let's go. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. Let's go to Brother Michael, please.
Sorry, I was doing 2 things at the same time. So I'll try and come back in the next 2 minutes. If not, I can't comment at the moment. Sorry.
That's fine. I'll come back to you. Sister Shireen.
Greetings, everyone. Sorry for being late today. I had to lock up the office quite late.
You are forgiven.
Thank you. And I'm outside on my way home as well, so sorry about that as well. I think the actual paragraph has moved.
Yeah, we are not on the. It's not on the correct paragraph. There are 2 paragraphs we read. So it is just a requirement to explain, and then so there are 2 paragraphs on the screen. Well,
yeah,
kind of.
So
let me move up so you can see the beginning of the paragraph. So you can.
It is that's the requirement. That one. That's what I'm trying to. Or is it in the first answer? Philosophers, in fact, tackle the question.
That one. Yes.
Yeah. With this one, it's either the scientific or spiritual. That I get from this passage. So we are 70% water within our body, or you could some say more. So I can see where Thales traces that origin to, and Berkeley to spirits and their ideas, because if an idea, spirit births ideas then come into fruition. So it's more than something physical like water. It's more connected to, I would say, the universe in this context. Even though spirit is, I don't want to say omnipotent, but spirit is, how can I put it, the unseen then, which obviously science always tries to contradict with evidence. So where is it? In effect, however, they both seek the origins of the variety of objects.
Mr. Sherade, whilst you are sharing your view, bear in mind that there's nothing that says in material design it has to be seen. Yeah.
Sorry.
Bear that in mind.
Sorry.
Bear in mind that You have to bear in mind that materialism does not say that matter has to be seen to be matter. Yeah. Just bear that in mind. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Being in this question. So I think there are always questions, and I don't think there is one universal reasoning to what the origins of humanity is. That's what I get from that passage, and maybe I can add more in a bit, but I think it's science versus spirit,
Yeah.
the spiritual aspect of, yeah. And this is
Yeah, okay.
where, yeah, no, this is also kind of where if we all had a universal understanding to lift ourselves out of the context or the position that we're in, it can be done. And that's why some people turn to oracle cards, or they turn to spirit for answers, because spirit talks. But anyway, I'm probably going off the point a bit.
No, it's okay. You are sharing your view, and that's fine.
Yeah, could I add something?
Are you ready now, Michael? Come, go on
Yes,
then.
I am. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think with this chapter here, they're talking about the explanation.
You mean the paragraph, Michael, not the chapter, the paragraph.
The paragraph, yes, that's right. The paragraph, yeah. It's they're talking about, it's the second aspect, is the account of the extent of the cosmic raw material. So they're talking about this idea of water. This is what it is the cosmic raw material, or the origins of it. These are just philosophical ideas. They're not based on pure science. And they're saying that there may well be some form of a shortage. They're putting this idea across of a shortage of water, and an error of costing. I'm assuming this is the right paragraph I'm reading. Is that right? Have I missed the point?
Yes, that's correct.
With an error of costing can come to so they're saying there's not enough. This implied there's not enough of this cosmic raw material, which in this case is water, to frustrate God's plans for universe building. So they're introducing this idea that there might not be enough, you see, to give an account, which is assumed is a form of accounting. So I think they're introducing the idea that there might not be enough water or this cosmic raw material, whether it's spirit or water. That's what I think they're trying to suggest there.
Yeah, your thinking is correct, because remember, we read in the previous paragraphs that when philosophy is regarded in the light of a series of abstract systems, that it can be said to concern itself with two fundamental questions. If you recall, the first question was what there is. In other words, what is there? What is it, if you like? And the second question is how what there is may be explained. Now we've dealt with the first question, and we noticed there have been two answers. The first answer was given by Thales, which says that what there is water. And then the second, then the second answer to the first question from Berkeley, who remember was a Church of England priest, is that what there is spirit and the ideas. The second question, which is what we are reading now, is so whether it is water or spirits and ideas, how do we explain them? And it is in trying to explain them that the question arises: well, was there enough of it to create the universe? So that question about its extent comes from when we want to explain what there is. So thank you very much for your commentary. Do you want to add any more, Michael?
I do, but I don't quite understand why Nkrumah would feel, or someone would feel, that there's a shortage. Why is there not an abundance?
No, it's not saying there's a shortage. It's a philosophical question that if water is what there is, if what there is in the universe can be explained with water, the universe is endless. So when you are explaining when you explain the origin of water, then the question arises: The second question that arises is, well, was there enough water to make everything? So it's not saying there's a shortage, just saying that it arises as a logical philosophical question.
Yeah, but then you could also have the philosophical question: was there too much
Yes,
water?
precisely. Yeah,
But the fact is
little or
that
too much.
so yeah, but okay, but that's the fact that he's not. It's not really balanced, is it? If you're just questioning if there may be a shortage, but
Yeah,
not also.
yeah. When you raise a question, is there enough? You also raise the question of whether there's too much or too little. Yes, you are right. If you are raising that question,
It's implied. It's implied.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
if you're saying,
yes,
all right.
yes, because you are raising the question. Well, you've given me food to eat. Is it enough? Then that implies it could be more than enough, or it could be less than enough. Yeah, it's implied. Yes. Right. So we've heard from Michael. Michael, do you want to add any more, or
No,
you're
thank
right?
you. That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that.
Okay. Let's go to brother. Before we go to brother Coco. Brother Coco, you want to comment on what we've read, please? Thank you.
Good evening, elders.
Evening.
Revolutionary greetings to you all. To be able to distill what we are reading here, it's always important to go back to what philosophy is. So we
Yes.
start with
Tell us, what is philosophy?
yeah, what it is, and how do you explain what that is, where that is coming from. So this is more or less like going back and saying where does which comes first, the egg or the chicken? Is it the chicken or the egg? And in this case, we are given two philosophers, and one is saying water. Water is the base where we all come from, and water being one of those raw materials that we know is widely available on planet Earth. I think our planet is made up of, as I think Sister Shireen said, that 70%. And I don't think she's too far from the truth. Our planet is mostly of water, and the human body itself subsists on water. So Tales here is trying to run away from the Bible concept of human being created from the soil. So there you are.
Yeah, hold on, comrade. Remember, in Taliesin there was no Bible as such, so he was running away from the Bible. Please, there was no Bible, so he was running away from. He was stating the philosophical view of Greece, of the wider civilized world at the time, when there was no Islam or Christianity. These are all modern things. Yeah. All right. You can carry on.
Right. So in that case, water being the base material, I mean, he has his own view. Again, don't forget what we are learning here. We said everybody has an opinion. And again, there are facts, and then there are postulations. So you could say here is a philosopher looking at the world and then seeing from the world what raw materials are there in abundance, and then postulating from that this would have been the raw materials that were used to create life. So that is sort of my understanding. He is looking at the basis of what the majority of life is, and what the majority of planet Earth is made of, and then saying, water can be a residual. It cannot be a residual because of the amount of water we have on Earth. It will be, we do consist a lot of water. Life itself is water. And again, don't forget, all creatures on planet Earth, they need water to survive. And looking at water again, it's soft, it's, but it's strong, and it's that substance which can be molded to different forms. So water can be ice, water can be dew, water can be mist, water can be cloud. So this is just me talking from my own background as an African, well, with a little knowledge of science that I have. Not that I am a philosopher, but I am learning, and again, learning to question, because I think that is what education is about. The more we question, the more we learn. It's not just putting stuff in our head and letting stuff stay there. It's questioning everything. So it's through questioning that Thales came up with the idea of water being the base. That's my 50 cents, or is it 5p?
Yeah. But is your comment complete? Because remember, you've only dwelt on Thales. What about Berkeley? And what about the second question, which is how do we expect the cosmic raw material? If the cosmic raw material, you don't have to comment. I'm just saying you might have views on those, but that's fine. Let's come back. Let's come back to you then, if you want to comment on those.
Allow me
Let's
to
ask.
step up on that, but it's more or less we're talking about raw material. So by cosmic, what are we saying? By cosmic, did it originate in this world? Did it come from this world, or from another world, and then was transformed to be life? So, but let's come back to that. I'll come back to that.
Well, when we talk about the cosmos, then there's no other world. Whatever world there is also part of the cosmos. So the cosmos as a cosmos is a cosmos. There is no cosmos outside the cosmos. If there is a cosmos outside the cosmos, it's part of the cosmos. So that is, you see. Anyway, I'll reserve my comment for now, and let's thank you, Brother Coco, for your comment. And we've heard from Brother Russ, even though he passed it on. We've heard from Sister Shireen. We've heard from Brother Michael. We've heard from Brother Coco. Let's hear from Sister Ida, please.
I think my only comment would be that the second bit of it, which was about not enough raw materials. I didn't think of the raw materials as being water. I thought of it as raw materials. And I thought, oh, maybe that's why there's not enough in the world now and everybody's always fighting over raw materials. So I'd obviously got it wrong if it's just water that we're talking about.
No, we're not just talking about water. We are talking about, from Thales' view, is that the fundamental element is water. Out of that water comes everything else. So in that sense, you've raised a very important point that I hadn't even thought of. I mean, if the whole problem of Africa today is that everybody wants to steal our resources because they don't have it,
yeah,
then maybe there's something in there that this shortage question is an important question. That it is not everywhere. It is only in some continents. So there are some elements that can only be found in Congo, for instance. And well, so perhaps the shortage that is being, I know Michael questioned whether that question should be there, but you've pointed out that perhaps it's a relevant question, that maybe shortage is a very important part of it. That's why Africa is where it is, because it has so many of the resources that others don't have, and they think the way to get is to steal it.
Well, I heard somebody laugh when I was reading that, so I thought, that's what they were sort of laughing at, that, that's the shortages they were talking about. So that's how it went into my head, not, I really didn't think it was just water. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, but water itself, is the shortage of water itself.
Shortage,
yeah. So,
but then there's
the
a
big
shortage.
Point there, but the big point there is that it's not literally water, if I may add. The point there is that because water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen, is referring to the entire building blocks of the universe. That is hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, and so on. In other words, so that's what it's really talking about. And you are right that part of these building blocks are diamond and gold. They are also elements, you know. And so if water is a source, is a basis for their creation, no wonder maybe there is shortage because there wasn't enough water to create enough for everyone. Therefore, and not everybody has it.
But there is water if you dig deep enough half the time. And also, it's quite amazing that there's seem to be two different sorts of water. Like you can get fresh water even under the sea and stuff like that. So I'm not, you know.
So you are right. You know, you are right in a sense that if you remember, Michael made a point, the big point, which we hadn't got to, but he made a point of categorical conversion. Because if the universe is made of water, how can we have diamond and gold and trees and Kwame who is speaking to you? How can we have these? The answer is because of categorical conversion. So the original matter is able it's able to transform the original matter into other types of matter, which is what categorical conversion is. So yeah, so I think you've raised a very important point. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Do you want to make any further comments before we move on to Brother Mafafa?
I'm fine with what I said. Thank you.
Okay, right. Let's go on to Brother Mafafa. I don't know if you saw what I don't know if you're here when we read what we read, but it's on the screen. Good to have you, Brother Mafafa, with us. We haven't seen you for a while. Well, I haven't anyway. So yeah, feel free to contribute, brother.
Greetings, Robert Kwame, and all leaders present here. Yes, apologies for joining late. I'm from a party commitment, and I also request that I've just arrived from where I stay. I'm just following a request to follow a comment. Thanks.
Okay. Well, Brother Mafafa, you are forgiven for being late. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay if you just want to listen. That's fine. Thank you. So let's move to Brother Dan, if he can speak. Brother Dan, are you able to speak? If you are able to comment on what is on the screen, please. So we are discussing philosophy and ideology for decolonization with specific reference to the African Revolution. The African Revolution is the revolution that was initiated. You can go back as far back as 1901, or you can say that it started in earnest in 1945 in Manchester and spread to the continent. And it's been ongoing. We haven't finished. The revolution is not yet finished. There's been a lull in the revolution to some extent for all kinds of reasons. But Africa is not yet completely free. It's not completely united, and it's not developed. We have vast continent. We have 1.3 billion of us at least, and so there's a need to develop the continent to meet our needs, and that hasn't happened. So the revolution has not ended. I don't think it will ever end, because even if when we develop Africa, we still have to continue to make sure that it is protected or secured. So there is work for us. It's an unending thing. So that's what we are discussing, philosophy and ideology. And the reason we are discussing it is because our forefathers have said that if we want to secure the continent, we must think in the highest terms. And there is nothing higher than philosophy and ideology when you are thinking. And the paragraphs we are reading are evidence of that. Because when you are talking about the origin of your cosmos, what can be higher than that? When you are asking what there is, in other words, what is our universe made of? How do we explain our universe? There is no question higher than that. So So why are we discussing these questions? Because that is where we have to start from. You see, if you don't start from the beginning, you lose track. If you start from the middle, you don't know what has gone on. We have to ask these questions in order to understand. So that's what we are discussing. But more specifically, we are discussing philosophy and ideology with respect to the fact that we have to change our continent. You know, the African, the black man is not happy in this world. I don't think we are happy with the world we live in. There are people who are happy with the world, but we are not. You know, we don't have life and human happiness. We want to be happy in this world. The way to be happy is to have control of what is ours. At the moment, we don't. So that's what we are discussing, philosophy and ideology. So let's hear from Dan if he can speak. Dan. Okay. Dan is not able to speak, so we'll move on to Brother Pigeon, please.
Thank you, Chair. This is a very important question. I remember we were talking, the chapter is philosophy in retrospect.
Yes.
And as you said, I asked last time whether the two answers were abstract answers or according to abstract system we're discussing or concrete answers. It was clear that there were abstract answers and abstract, of course, answers, whether water or spirit. Now, there's a say that what is life? So we don't know if life generates from what comes from water. That would be part of the answer here. Well, the other side now, Buckley says it comes from spirits. And therefore, to my contribution here is that, as he said, that now the second part of the answer, because the first part was what there is and how what there is. I think in this chapter, as young Chrome is trying now to analyze how what there is came to be. For example, if that everything started from water or God, either life or other thing started from water, then Chrome is trying to go deeper to try to understand those questions surrounding water. And part of it was one of the humor here that it says that was it either there was not enough water. It says that there are two aspects to this answer. In its first aspect, the explanation of an account of origin of the cosmic raw material. If, and according to this, water was all that God needed when on the eve of creation, he gave up his lion. Then for the first of all, the answer to the second question offers a account of origin of cosmic material. I think there was somewhere where you question whether there was enough water or whether God had challenges of water in creation. And I think, yes, as it has been said, me basically I understand these two paragraphs as somebody trying now to go deeper to try to question the two answers we have above, either origin from water or spirits. I'll be interested enough also as we hear
It's on the screen.
Spirits.
It's on the screen in the second aspect.
Oh, yeah, it's say in the second aspect, in account of existence of cosmic raw material, it let us know whether God, in addressing himself to the task of the day of creation, can find that there is an economic shortage, that is to say, a shortage of raw material. It let us know whether an error of costing has come to frustrate God's plan. It's very funny. That's part of error of costing might have frustrated God's plan in universe building. Anyway, but it's still a question, I think, even those who read either the creation theory in the Bible.
Yeah, hold on. Before you go on, can I give you a mundane example? It's a very small example. When a woman is creating a baby in her womb, yeah, you can ask a legitimate question, which is, does the baby have enough water, enough oxygen, to breathe in order to develop properly? That is a legitimate question, because now we know that if a woman is smoking weed when she's pregnant, she deprives her child of the right amount, the right type of air, oxygen, and the child is born in a way that affects the child's so the child is not able to reason properly and so on, because the weed goes into the child, into the woman's bloodstream. It affects the child. So it's just a small example to show you that when we are talking about creation or the making of things, it is a legitimate question to ask. If air is important, if breathing is important for a child in a woman's womb, is it possible that the child may not have enough food or enough oxygen or enough nutrients or enough this or enough? That's a legitimate question, but it's a philosophical question. Yeah, it's a philosophical question. Yeah, yeah. All right. I thought I should bring that in. Yeah,
Yeah.
continue, Comrade Pigeon.
Okay, thank you. What is so interesting is why could such question arise? It is philosophical. Why could such imagination that there was an economic shortage or whether the era of costing came in should be another question that is silent, because as he's saying that God might have either been frustrated or a costing issue. Does it indicate that there was an error in the total product that God was trying to either create using water? That now brings the question whether he was frustrated with the costing and anything else. But my key interest also, as I was trying to move to the other side, is that
but hold on before
even
you
in
go
the
on. Hold on before you go on. It's not saying that there was definitely a shortage. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that that question is a legitimate philosophical question. Whether God was frustrated or not is a different matter. In actual fact, it's a different matter. But even if it is not God and it is a woman, that's why I give the example of a woman with a fetus growing in its womb. Wherever there is creation, it is a legitimate question. So it's not about whether God actually had a costing crisis. And I don't know if what
Yeah.
that means is clear.
Yeah, so generally, as I went up, as I was saying, even in the creation theory of those who have their reading from the Bible of creation theory, there has never been a definite aspect of what was the right even creation. That's why even in the same the doctrine in the Bible, it has two versions of creation theory. So actually, these two issues of either generating from spirit and water is something that I'm really looking forward to see what will be the last of course, alternative that Nkrumah picks out of his analysis in this questioning and philosophy. I'll be looking forward to that to see whether he supported spirit or water.
No, you know the answer to that. Nkrumah is a materialist, so you know the answer. But it's good you raise a question of the Bible having two, if you like, theories of creation. If you look at it critically, the answers are similar to what we are reading. The first answer is that God made man on the seventh day, and it's all spiritual. The second story in Genesis chapter is it 3, I believe, is that God took the earth and made man from it. So that is similar to Thales, saying that you take matter and you make out of matter, you make man. That's what the second Genesis story of creation is telling us. And the first Genesis story is that you take God, let us make man in our own image. And the idea there is that God being spiritual makes a spiritual being. So you see the two contending answers to the question are even in the first few chapters of the Bible. Yeah. So the what you are asking, well, which one will Nkrumah pick? It will let us that Nkrumah picked materialism for obvious reasons, and I think I made a comment on that, which is that look, you can believe whatever you like. You can believe in prayers, you can believe in fasting, you can believe that sweets can drop from the sky, you can believe that it's possible to utter magical words and magical things. I believe all that if you like. That's your business. But when it comes to your public role as a leader of the African people, don't tell them to go and pray for their needs whilst you steal their needs, you steal their resources. You steal their resources for yourself and your family, for yourself and your immediate nationality, so that because we are loose, we should not be part of the government, or we should be in permanent opposition somehow. and then you Kikuyus only should be the heads of state. And no, you can't say, well, we should go and pray to God to give us this whilst you steal the resources. That is what we'll not accept. So in Nkrumah, people have made accusations against Nkrumah, many accusations, that he was an atheist, that he visited a shrine, that he was a Muslim. There are as many versions as you can think of. Some say he was a Christian, they say, oh, he was a Muslim, and so on. But be that as it may, those were his personal beliefs, and everybody has a right to their own personal beliefs. The question is, in his role as the leader of Pan-Africanism on the global stage, what should he do? But that's a different question. So we as leaders must be mindful and be careful that we don't let our personal beliefs confuse us when it comes to our public role. Thank you very much, Comrade PJ. If you want to add anything, please do before I move on.
Okay, just to end up, my last statement is that whatever you raised, yes, on whether we should pray for solutions if you are a leader, or whether do it, is I think is the concept that I tried to raise last time, is that in spirituality of all those who believe in religion, especially Christianity or Muslim, and that was transferred in Africa so much sometimes back, is that they believe that the solution for everything is prayers. Well, there are people who wake up in the other side every morning to toil and work for what they believe in, and what they believe in. I think that's why even their same Bible tells them, without work, you cannot eat. But the other side, people think that you pray and you eat. Well, it still tell you if you don't work, you don't eat. So I think that's also another interesting concept. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, we can discuss this another time. But the question of prayer, where I come from in Ghana, when we say prayer, adogbeda, is not the way the Christians interpret it. That you should raise your hands and then God will send you money. I'm not saying literally, but that's not what we mean by prayer. To send to utter words into the universe. It's a completely different thing from prayer. But anyway, that's we are not going into that now. Thank you for your commentary on that. I think we've heard from everyone. Well, Akoko has his hand up. I don't know if it is from previously or whether he wants to make further comments before next paragraph.
Comrade,
Did you want to make comments before we move on? Yeah.
The Bible, but I think when I try to raise the Bible, you said, let's go back to ancient priests before the Bible was written.
Comrade Koko, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. What I was saying was that Carlos wasn't speaking with reference to their position, what a Bible was saying at the time. That's what I was saying. Feel free to talk about that. Does that make sense?
Okay.
I was saying that when he was saying what he was saying, he wasn't saying it with reference to a Bible as we know it. That's the point I was making.
I think my observation on that is that we tend to always refer to the Bible. It's good you corrected me, because we take the Bible as a gospel truth, but it isn't a gospel truth. As philosophers, we need to be asking the questions, scientific questions which can be backed by science and can make sense. And as you rightly said, the Nkrumah believed in materialism. What is possible for people? What can benefit the people? But we tend to always go back to the Bible, as I have observed with my comrade Pygmy, that is like we always have to validate ourselves about some Eurocentric idea somewhere. Not denying that Thales himself was probably the father of Eurocentrism, or other ancient philosophers were. But the idea of philosophy is using the materials we have for the environment we have, the social environment we have, and trying to think as best as possible to see what can benefit the environment we have.
So Coco, your point being, we shouldn't refer to the Bible, Bible to validate ourselves. Is that the point you are making?
Point is, even if we do it, we need to be aware that it's written by someone who probably didn't even look at science as much. So
Yeah.
let's make sure if we refer to it, we need to know exactly what the limitations are.
Okay. So if you asked, if we want to discuss Bible as the role of the Bible in the unification of Africa, let's spend a Saturday on that, one of the Saturdays on that, and widen it to the role of spirituality in our unification, in our all Africa Union government. That's a topic I think we should discuss at some point. So I would not make any further comments on the Bible because some of you might be shocked to hear my views, and I'm very careful not to speak in a way that someone who has a certain belief will feel offended, because if you're not careful what you say, you will offend people. And so I'm very careful what I say when it comes to religious beliefs. But sometimes people forget that Constantism or Nkrumahism, to some people, is also like a religion. So when you are talking a certain way, people can get offended, just as Christians can get offended. When you talk in a certain way, they will get offended because they think you are blaspheming against their religion. Even though what you are saying may be a legitimate question. Sometimes we forget that there are people in Africa amongst us for whom what Nkrumah stood for is a religion. They believe in it so much that it's like an article of faith. And that article of faith is that the African must own their own continent. The African must control their continent. The African must finance their own continent. The African must manage their own continent for their benefit. That these are articles of faith, like any religion. And anybody who suggests that it was okay to overthrow him for whatever reason, for them, that is offensive. I'm not saying, I'm just telling us how people see certain things. And then when we are having discussions, we need to be mindful of what other people feel or think. So for someone who believes that Nkrumahism or Constantism is an article of faith, if you turn around and say that, well, it was okay to overthrow him because this is how people felt, this is how this person felt, this is how these people felt, this person was in prison, this person was that. If you talk like that, you may be saying the right thing in the sense that you are looking at what has happened. In the same way you can say, oh, Jesus, was Jesus right to be was it okay to betray Jesus for 30 pieces of silver? Was Judas Iscariot correct to betray Jesus for 30 pieces of silver? Because that question could be raised. Was it okay for police officers and soldiers to take 13 million US dollars and overthrow the government they have sworn allegiance to? So someone would say that, well, there is not very much difference between people receiving CIA money and overthrowing Nkrumah and Judas Iscariot receiving money and betraying the savior of the world. The word Osagifo in Ghana means redeemer. People saw Nkrumah as the redeemer. I'm not saying everybody, just like not everybody believes in Jesus. People saw Nkrumah as the redeemer. So anybody who says that it is okay for someone not that it's okay, but things that, well, it is a legitimate, if you like, argument to say that it was okay. It may not be okay, but it happened. Then someone, well, what are you saying? Are you telling me that Judas Iscariot was right to receive 30 pieces of silver and betray Jesus for him to be killed? Because Jesus was killed, you know? So I'm just making these points to draw our attention to the question of religion and making reference to the Bible, you know, the way as Brother Coco was saying, the way we refer to the Bible for our validation. But let's leave that aside and move on. Let's focus on philosophy. I'm not saying that religion is not philosophy. Religion has philosophy in it. But yeah, Sister Ida, you had your hand up.
I did, because I didn't know that, but that's my ignorance. I've always wondered what it meant, that Osadifer means redeemer. I really have never quite known. I wondered if it was maybe father or something like that. But apart from that, my comment is really that it was preordained. At least so it says in the Bible. I think it says in the Bible, it was preordained that Judas Iscariot would do something like that. I think it does say that. So,
so does that make it right? Does it make it right that he did? But does it make it right?
No, but if it says that it's preordained, somebody would, you know, it's already. I'm just commenting on a comment. I'm not commenting on any of the rest of it.
Yeah, I understand.
So I'm just saying that, you know, if there's such a thing as predestination or whatever, then, you know, what happens. It's preordained. So you know, that's my only comment. Seeing you brought up Judas Iscariot in particular. Thank you.
Yeah.
And my other comment,
because Judas, I don't know if you're right, Judas Iscariot and the Jews, this is why the Jews were hated so much. And the Christian world for a long time really hated Jews, because the argument was that it's the Jews that killed Jesus. You know, so the whole anti-Semitism thing is part of that, you know, that the reason we are suffering is because of Jews. You know, they killed Jesus. You know, they should have killed Jesus. Anyway, yeah, your other comment?
My other comment.
Okay, well, if you remember, you can come back. Right, let's go on with the reading. Comrade, Brother Michael, are you able to read for us? We haven't heard your reading for a while. Michael?
So it wouldn't be possible for me to read at the moment. So I'm just in the middle of something. I promise I will read for next week. I haven't read for.
All right, Michael, that's fine. You haven't read for a while. Okay, so Brother Pigeon has read, Sister Ida has read. Sister Shireen, can we hear your sweet voice, please, if you don't mind?
Funny.
It's on the screen in the urgency. So we are continuing with the next paragraph, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, so in the urgency of the second question of philosophy, sorry, let me start again. In the urgency of the second question of philosophy can be detected a certain anxiety about the principle of sufficient reason. According to this principle, everything has an explanation why it is as it is and not otherwise. Has the cosmic...
Slowly a bit for us. Slowly, don't rush.
Oh,
slowly.
Okay, sorry.
All right.
Okay. Has the cosmic raw material a cause or explanation, or has it not? To deem it not to have one is to enter a plea of exception against the principle of sufficient reason. Now, the pressure to withhold a cause from the cosmic raw material, that of which is the matrix of the universe, and from which springs everything else which there is or can be, takes its beginning from the fact that whatever cause is proposed, for it must be vexed by persistent problems.
Problems. Precisely. Wow. That's a big reading. Thank you for reading that slowly for us. Let's hear people's views on
Okay.
that. Let's start with I know you read it yourself, so Shireen, we'll come back to you. Let's hear from Michael, please. Michael. Others can be rereading it on the screen in order to prepare their answers, what they
Right.
think.
Right, but what they're saying is that what the captain's asking the question is that it's applying the question of why what there is, why it is there. They're applying it to the principle of sufficient reason. When you apply that question of what there is to principle of sufficient reason, everything has a cause. That means the very fact that we exist on the planet, or there's trees, why there's sky, whether there's a paving slab, everything has a reason for being in existence. That's my take of it. And that's what they're applying, that principle, that everything has a reason for its existence, and they're applying it to the second question.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Brother Renumi, please. Please, everyone should remember they can pass the question. We can come back to you if you're not ready. You can pass if you want. Brother Renumi,
Yes.
what do you think about what we've read?
Yes, let's pass it for now.
Yes,
maybe
pass. Okay, that's fine. Let's go to Senior. Genius.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening. What is your understanding of what we've just read?
Although I just joined the meeting now, but for the context here, I can be able to deduce that for
Please,
everything
feel
in
free.
life, there should be a reason for it. That simply means for human to be created, there must be a reason for it. And for a government to do anything, that particular government has a reason to do that. Likewise, the citizen. So that is what I can get from the.
Can I ask you a question? Very good. So
Yes.
when you look at the cosmos,
Yes, sir.
By cosmos we mean it's not just a universe, because it's possible that we have a multiverse. That there's not just one universe, that there are many universes, but all these universes are part of a bigger universe called the cosmos. Now, this cosmos is all there is. There is no world outside the cosmos. If there's a boundary, that boundary is the boundary of the cosmos. But there is no suggestion that the universe or the cosmos has a boundary. It could be that there's no boundary. Everything just continues and continues and continues, whatever. Yeah. My question to you is, from what we've read, how do you understand the cosmic, the principle of sufficient reason as applied to the cosmos itself? Not things in the cosmos. The examples you have given are things inside the cosmos: the government, the people, the creation of man. Those are things within. What about the cosmos itself? What is your thinking on that?
So what I can think about is that it has an infinity ending.
Okay,
Hello,
well,
sir.
if that is the case, that cosmic raw material, you're saying it is infinite.
Yes,
it is infinite.
It's endless. Yes, sir.
Okay, it's infinite. All right. Okay. Thank you for that. Well, thank you for your comments. Let's go to Brother Coco.
Thanks, brother. Quite an interesting one, this one, because it centers around the principle of sufficient reason. It feels like he's saying here, everything has to have a sufficient reason, even the source of that raw material or a cause or explanation, it has. And if it doesn't, then there's a problem, because we're going to spend our entire lives justifying why that's not the case. Because if you look at the last sentence there, it takes its beginning from the fact that whatever cause is proposed for it must be vexed by persistent problems. So if it doesn't meet the principle of sufficient reason, it means there is not a stable foundation. There is not a stable foundation on which we can base our reason on the cosmic raw materials. So which means everything that we have to propose, it has to have the stable or the strongest foundation. We need to know how we are going to proceed and cost everything. Otherwise, we're going to spend our entire time in office, say for instance, justifying why things didn't work as we planned.
Thank you. Let's go to Sister Shireen. You read the paragraph. What do you think?
If I go in reverse, where we talk about, where is it? Now, the pressure to withhold a cause from the cosmic raw material, i.e. that which is the matrix of the universe and from which springs everything else that there is or can be, takes its beginning from the fact that whatever cause is proposed for it must be vexed by persistent problems. This is where critical thinking comes into play, because by having questions and answers, or seeking questions and answers can actually, if not within yourself, cause destabilization. It can cause destabilization to other people who may present themselves as having an answer, but they don't. So, or within oneself, because if you believe the status quo, for example, and you believe that the sky is blue and that's it, without actually questioning, as you said, the nitrogen, oxygen, and all of these other compounds that make up certain elements, if you are not vexed by, or not even vexed, but if you don't have a questions and answer or critical thinking practice, then going further up, this is your exception against the principle of sufficient reason. So does that make, I hope I'm making sense, because I might have got myself messed up a little bit.
Okay. It's okay. You are thinking aloud. That is what this class is about. It's about thinking through things, because we are focusing on our philosophical and ideological development. So yeah, that's great. Thank you very much for your comment. Let's go to Brother Pigeon.
Okay, thank you very much. I've been trying to actually understand the meaning of this principle of sufficient reasoning or reason. But according to how they have explained it, because you see the second question you're dealing with is how. And they say that how brings some level of anxiety about the principle of sufficient reasoning. If we cannot reason enough in regards to that question, we may not give the right answer on how what came to be. So to myself, I'm getting that being one of the key issue in our reasoning, trying to understand or answer the question how. We must have sufficient reasoning, which means people might reason and maybe it might not be that sufficient reasoning. And maybe to also our current context, when we are trying to provide solutions or when we are trying to check why states are failing, why are government schools going on in Africa, why Africans are poor, why there's bad leadership in Africa or governance in Africa, we must apply sufficient reasoning behind that in order for us to get the right reason behind it. Then I think as we go along, it says that now the pressure to withhold a cause from the cosmic raw material, that which is the matrix of the universe and from which springs everything else, which there is, can be, is or can be, takes its beginning from the fact that whatever cause is proposed for, it must be backed by persistent problem. So I think I also catch this other part that whatever cause is proposed for must be vexed by persistent problems. So generally, as you'd ask the same question on we as we're dealing on the universe origin of either water or spirit, I think that's what is trying to challenge here, that we need to have actual serious reasoning behind us to get the question or to get the answer. And if you have to change that, we must change it based on persistent problems. And I think even moving forward in current situation or current setup, I think Nkrumah recommend very much that we need to understand the consciousness and the material condition of the people, so that when you propose anything that can be actually for the people, it must be based on the challenges that people go through. So basically, that's what I understand out of this.
Thank you very much. Che, welcome. You haven't seen you for a very long time. You need to attend our class more often. So Che is from Cameroon. I know he lives in Nigeria. He's from Cameroon, and we have work to do in Cameroon. So Comrade Che, you need to join us more often. Okay, thank you much. Thank you, everyone. We've got 5 minutes left to the official closing time. Let's hear from Sister Ida.
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Sister Ida, your understanding of the paragraph, please.
Well, my worry is why anything proposed must be vexed by persistent problems.
Why?
Because to me, it's like, why would there be persistent problems? Is he telling us that there's not sufficient of the cosmic raw material?
No. The reason he's saying that is that if you say that, if you, like Thales, you say that water is a matrix of the universe from which everything arises, and the question arises, where did water itself come from? Then if you propose an answer to that, then the question then also becomes, where will that other thing come from? If you give an answer, then the question then becomes, where will this other thing also come from?
Oh, so it's always
that's what it means.
persistent. Okay,
That's what it means by being vexed.
Okay.
So when you say, for instance, that God created the universe, if you want to be philosophical, you ask the question, well, where did God himself or herself come from? If you give an answer to that, then the question, well, where did that other thing also come from? So the point is that if you go down that route philosophically, you will not arrive at an ultimate answer, because whatever you propose will itself be subject to that question.
Thank you. Okay, so that was what I couldn't understand of the whole paragraph. Thank you for explaining it. Okay.
All right. Okay. Any further comments, or it's okay?
All right. No, that's fine. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Brother Mafafa, please.
Greetings, leaders. One may also take this opportunity to be part of the class. I was following very well, and the examples that were made on the water and on the minerals. And it reminds us that when you read so many books written by Kwame Nkrumah, he emphasized that freedom is land. And it was quite interesting to part of the class. We were hoping to attend in our next section. Thank you. Thanks, Comrade Kwame, and
Thank
leaders
you.
here.
Thank you, Madam Afafa. Let's hear from Sister Yolanda. I don't know if you were here when you read what was on the screen, Sister Yolanda, but feel free to comment. But because of time, perhaps we should make our comments briefer or shorter. Sorry, not Yolanda. I think it's Comrade Thomas Sankara.
Revolutionary greetings to all of you. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
My humble
You're welcome.
apology. I'm just from a meeting. We're preparing for conference again this weekend. I'm just from a national conference. So we're preparing for the Women's League conference for this weekend. But I tried to go through the passage quickly on what God has created. And for me, when you look at the principle of sufficient reasoning, is how sufficient is it? Why is it? If we have our material, raw material that is there, what are the reasons for it?
So the principle of sufficient reason is a philosophical principle. It's a principle that philosophers have. And the argument
so you
is
need
that
to
the
ask
philosophical
the
argument is that,
question.
that whatever there is, anything that you see has a reason why it exists. It has an explanation.
Yes. So in my view, when I tried to dissect it, one would say God has created the universe, and within the universe you do have, or within the universe you do have, let's say, the raw material that is there.
Hold on.
The water
Hold
that
on.
is there.
Hold on. You see, when you ask a question, there are two directions you can go. You can go in the direction of what is inside the universe, or go in the direction of what is the cause of the universe. So I noticed that I noticed that most of you are going into inside the universe, which is okay. But bear in mind that when you are asking these difficult questions, you are asking questions about the cosmic raw material itself. So not what is inside the universe, but what is the universe itself constituted of.
And why? And you should ask the question why.
Yes. Why? That's it. Why is it what? Why is the universe? Why is our universe what it is?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So please carry on. Yeah.
Yes, sure. So when I tried to get an understanding of the text, I read through it, and I was like, okay, now we have the raw material. Why did God create the universe? But the raw material.
No. Hold on. Where did God Himself even come from? Not why did God create the universe, but who created God Himself or herself? What is the source of God? Does that make sense? That's a philosophical question. We're not ending
It's quite interesting. It's very deep.
We're not ending at this idea that there is a God, but and this is why it has a persistent problem. That if you say God created the universe, then did God create God? And with God created the God? Because for God to be created, there must have been a God that was so powerful that God created God. Then in that case, there must have been a God also more powerful that created that God. And then you go on, and there's no end. Hence, it is a vexation with persistent problems. But if you come to our world,
the irritation. Yes.
But if you come to our world and you say that there is something called diamond, and you say, well, what is the explanation for diamond? Where does diamond come from? Then once it's inside the universe or inside our world, it's kind of easier to explain. Uh-huh.
Yes, sir. But also when you look at the principle of it, it's for us, it actually also challenged us to question why is it there? What is the purpose? Why is it there and not like otherwise? So you cannot just take things as is. The
Yeah.
principle is really guiding us also to ask. And I think that is the principle of sufficient reasoning.
Yeah.
So things
So
are
the
not just
principle of
happening. Things are not just there. There's a reason for
uh-huh.
it.
Precise. So the principle of sufficient reason is where does your women's league come from? What is the cause of it?
Yes. Yes. It was a
And
response. Yes.
no, I'm not asking you to tell us. I'm just saying
Oh,
when you
okay.
apply it, then it says to you, well, what is the explanation for the women's league? What is
Yes.
it? What is its
And
purpose? And so
why?
then that question, then that question arises.
Yes. So you should ask why.
Why? Yeah.
And
Why? What is
yes.
explanation for it? Thank you.
What is the existence of it? Why do
Yes.
we have
Why
it?
does it
What is the
exist? Yeah.
purpose of it? Yes.
Why does it
So
exist?
the principal challenge is to ask and not just to accept and receive things as it is. We need to dig a little bit deeper. And yes. So this is what I could get from the
All
text.
right.
Chair.
Thank you very much. Let's hear from Brother Inumi. The time is 9:04. We are very religious when it comes to finishing our meetings. It's normally 9 o'clock. So, but we need to hear from everyone. So let's make it brief and hear from everyone, and then we close the meeting. So, Brother Inumi.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, let me just, there were two, before these paragraphs we are reading, there were two philosophers mentioned. Thales, the Western philosopher who believed that everything was water, and Beckley, who believed that everything was spirit or idea. Both of them, from my own perspective, were absolutely right. And their ideology and their proposition is still 100% valid till this moment. The only thing I probably would detect from this is that they are probably not the original proponent of this philosophy, because they limited it, so they are limiting the philosophies to one thing or the other, while in actual fact, none can exist without the other. And I want to even believe that even what Taylor called water is actually soil, because water itself is part of the soil. And everything natural, everything human-made is produced from substance taken from the soil. Human being germinated from the soil. Most of the raw materials.
Sorry to interrupt. Comrade Pigeon, can you chair? I need to just get up quickly. Thank you. Continue, brother.
So most of everything we manufacture, we got the raw material from the soil. Most living things got their life. The only thing that keep us alive or get us out of the life is when the air. And to some people, they can call it spirit. To some people, it can be Holy Spirit, it can be evil spirit, it can be anything. Get escape out of a living thing. Even tree, their life, they draw from the soil, which is also water or soil, which is where they sprout out from in the first place. And another factor that both of them, another element that both of them did not bring into it is the power of light, illumination, sun, and whatever we have turned light to. Light, we know light exists on a spectrum from the thick darkness to the most ultra light that we cannot behold with our eyes. That is the essence, that is the light, and the light spectrum cut across and changing every tick, 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 tick moment. So at the same time, the people that are talking Holy Spirit can say this, they can say somebody who is holy is working with both bright lights, is in the region of bright lights, and whoever is evil is probably in the region of the dark lights, as much into the darkness, considering how evil the person is, and into the region of white lights, the bright lights, according to how pure the person's heart is with his environment. So that is setting the first question right. Now going to this question that is talking about the sufficient reason.
Can I comment?
Yes,
Comment, you know me.
yes, sir.
So when it comes to the matrix of the universe, that is that which constitutes the universe philosophically,
Yeah.
it makes no difference if you say it's soil, water. I mean, Thales proposed water. You can propose soil if you want.
Yeah, I'm just saying they are the same thing. Yes, I'm not
But the
condemning it.
point, hold on. But the main point is that whether it is water or soil, it is matter. That's the crux of the problem. The question is the universe we live in, is it a material universe or is it a spiritual universe? That is a question. And those who are idealists argue that it is a spiritual universe. The universe is made up of spirits and ideas. And those who are materialists argue that the universe is made up of matter. Whether you call it soil or water doesn't really matter. So, but scientifically, in terms of what you said, Brother Ridumi, scientifically, you can say that trees get their water from the soil. Yeah, but that's not the point, is it? The point is that the constituents of water are hydrogen and oxygen. And yes, the soil itself has hydrogen and oxygen, but the soil has other things in it. And those things in the soil, in terms of the elements, nitrogen and so on, where did they come from? So the idea is that we are going back the cosmic raw material. What is our universe made from? What is the ultimate matrix? There's a film called The Matrix. I don't know if anybody's watched it here. But what is ultimately the universe made of? That is what we are getting at. And there are two answers. It's either matter or it's spirit. I notice you have more to say, Brother Rinomi. Yeah, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
So
say
we can shift it to next week, no problem.
But you can summarize it for us. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I was going to do that. Yeah, like I said, I quite agree with your further. And I'm only saying that I cannot separate the two substances. I cannot separate matter from spirit, because what makes matter is the spirit.
Hold on. When you say that, then you are saying that you are an idealist, because the question that arises is not whether we can separate the two or not. That's not the question. The question is which one is first, which one is primary. Does that make sense? So if you say that the universe is primarily spirit, then you have to explain to us how soil or water or yourself or a mobile phone or anything in the universe, how can you scientifically explain how spirit can be changed into these things? So there is no question. There is no question that they are related. That's fine. That is not the problem. The problem is which one is primary. That is the philosophical question for us.
I don't think I cannot rate one higher than the other, because if spirit, an idea in some cases is taken out, let's say spirit, let's even limit it to spirit now. If spirit is taken out of a universe, human being will not be breathing. We will not even
Why?
come to
Yeah,
we will
why?
not we will not come to life, because oxygen that we're breathing in is in the is in the region of spirits. Is
But-
air. Is air. Okay,
hold
did I
on,
mention air?
hold on.
Did I mention air? Did I mention air in my analysis? Oh, probably
No.
I've mixed it
Well,
up.
you have.
Air,
You have.
yeah, okay,
But,
air, spirit, and ideology. They
but
are
hold on.
invisible substance.
Hold on. This is a mistake a lot of people make. When we say that something is matter, we're not saying that it is physical. People confuse physicalism with materialism. Yeah. So air, which we breathe, is matter. Why? Because air is made up of elements, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and these things are invisible, but they are matter. So you need to separate physicalism from materialism. If something is matter, it doesn't mean that you can see it or touch it. Yeah.
Okay.
So that is something that because when we talk about matter, people think you must be able to touch it, feel it, see it,
Okay, Chair.
and so on, but it's not. Yes, the time is 9:15.
Yes,
and
we need to end there.
we have to. Okay. That means we can't hear from the rest of us. Therefore, can I ask that we come, well, apart from the fact that we have to start the meeting on time, most of us arrived very late to the meeting. So you are going there with your beautiful ideas that we would have loved to hear. Che, come early. Jason, please come earlier so we can hear your beautiful ideas. All right. So thank you, everyone. I think we have to end it there. Last Sister Ida to make final comments, and then we close the meeting. Thank you.
I'm amazed that we managed to stay till 9:15, all of you who came late. So I don't know that I have anything else. I loved Sankara's comment about asking why, and I think that is wonderful. So I think I'll say thank you and end it there. Thank you all. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
See you all next week. See you on Saturday.
Good night.
Actually.
Good night.